Trust Factor with Rob Greenlee focuses on all aspects to building human trust in online communications. Only on 100 TV.
Hi, in episode 2, 5 techniques to build online human trust in communication. And episode 1, viewer feedback on me. So my name is Rob Greenlee, and I thank you for joining me. The trust factor in your life is very important, and the lack of it or abundance of it can profoundly impact the quality of your life, and especially in the world today. So I'm focusing on all aspects of building trust in human-to-human relationships that are connected to building business trust, as well as personal life trust and your professional career. So I'm helping online content creators create content that reaches other people at a deeper level and to grow connection and loyalty. So I want to say thank you very much for joining me here each week to learn and to bring more positive human experiences to our lives, just in general, across all of the population. I think it's very important that we work on building positive lives, because that will impact others as well as us. And this show is here every week to help you on that journey, to achieve that goal of building a deeper and more trustful relationship with others around you every day. So well, let's get started. So here are 5 techniques to build online human trust in communications. And so what I want to do is just kind of run through these 5 things and just kind of briefly talk about them as things that maybe you need to think about as far as what you do in your life each day. I think it's important to use clear and transparent speech as best as you can. And that can be sometimes difficult to do in the world today. But it is one of the most effective ways to build trust, is to be very clear and transparent. So when you speak to someone, just use very clear language. It doesn't have to be complicated language. It doesn't have to be anything that's out there to try and impress someone. I think communication transcends complexity, and being transparent about stuff in your life also builds trust, because it means that you're not so caught up in trying to portray something that maybe not be authentic to who you are. So transparency is kind of a difficult thing to actually define, because it's going to be a little different for each and every one of you. And I think that's the important takeaway is it can be tough to be transparent. It can be can be difficult to be clear too, because we get in a rush, we get in a hurry, or we want to impress someone, and that kind of gets in the way of clear and transparent speech. So, but I think it's important to be honest about your intentions too. So when you're clear and transparent, that does have a tendency to enhance the perception that the other person has on your intentions and what you're trying to achieve with them when you communicate to them. So I think it's very important to do those things. And like I said, use simple language as best as you can, language that you know everyone will understand. And sometimes when we're talking to other people that maybe from other cultures, and maybe their native language is a little different than yours, maybe they're native speakers and other what you would consider to be foreign languages, then that can also create an obstacle to communication, clear and transparent communication as well, because oftentimes you may have to simplify that language so it actually reaches them at the level that they can comprehend. And these are kind of difficult things to navigate, but you have to be able to listen to others, to understand others, and that also requires you to try and put yourself in their place. and try and speak to people in a way that you know is going to build a trust. You're going to be able to accomplish your your goals, and you're going to be able to make a clear path with that other person. So, especially in a business environment, especially in relationships, I think relationships, and I'm talking about personal relationships, can be very sensitive. They can be very much misinterpreted, and I think that's very, very important to use clear and transparent speech. Be as honest as you can. I'm not saying you have to tell someone every little detail about what your thoughts are, because that may not be good for anyone. Because we all have negative thoughts about everything in our lives, and I think just being honest about that, I think, is important. So, and really another way to build trust is to be responsive and available. And I think that is a big thing that I'm trying to do with even this show, is to be basically intentional and available to those that want to learn, want to contribute, want to be involved in whatever that you're doing, but also involved in this show too. I want to be able to make this show kind of a meta example of what building trust is really all about. And one of the just the basic things to do is really respect external communications as best as you can. I mean, you have to be able to filter and adjust. You can't be responding to every single maybe email communication or message that you get on social platforms. But I do think that if they are important, I think it's important to respond timely and to really put the communication back in the hands of the other person. And when you communicate, and this is about trust building too, is communicate in that message a path forward. Set some goals, set some objectives to what you're trying to do in a time frame. And that basically communicates to the other person that you're wanting to interact and have a constructive building of this relationship on a project or on a just a basic human communication back and forth. So if you want to build a bond or a relationship or a business relationship or whatever kind of a relationship you want to build with this person, I think it's very important to be timely and also to be clear that you are available to answer any questions and concerns or project kind of goals that may be communicated to you. Um, and and I hope that this show does this for you, is reliable and committed. And I'm committed to building a relationship with you as well, with your audience, or with my audience. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with that type of thing. So it's very important to also have a certain amount of social listening proof. So as you think about being a content creator, and that's really what I'm trying to do with this show, is speak to content creators, but there's no reason why some of the things that I'm talking about in this show can't apply to every aspect of your human life, and every aspect of your interaction with the people around you and the people that you value in your life. And creating some social proof for them, or social listening proof, or in this case, social viewing proof, is a powerful tool for building trust in online communications. It can also be important in in-person communications too. So a lot of these techniques are applicable to any kind of communication with another person. So, and I think these type of building relationship, the social proof that I'm talking about, can involve customer reviews or people giving you feedback. And this episode is really going to be about a lot of that. And I'm going to be very open about the feedback that I've had about this show, and the testimonials that people give towards and about you, whether it be on LinkedIn or on whatever platform, any kind of feedback that you get about what you bring to the world. And sometimes it can be negative. Um, but I think it's important to drive testimonials, ask for that. Put out case studies that give examples of what you've done for others. Those are all kind of, case studies can be one of those things that maybe people may be less likely to trust because maybe they're written by the person that is looking for a positive review. So there's other online websites that are out there that drive feedback for your company as well. So these are companies that their whole purpose is to get customer feedback and honest uh, contributions about what their experience has been with you or whatever brand that you have. These are all demonstrating your credibility and your expertise. And I think that's very important. And to create an environment where positive and negative feedback can be shared. Now, oftentimes, negative feedback in a public realm is seen as very negative, right? I mean, it may impact your ability to garner more listeners or viewers or customers if there is a lot of negative feedback. But in some instances, I think it's important to get negative feedback at the beginning of any kind of a company or show or anything that you're putting together. And that's what I'm going to share with you today is some of the negative and positive feedback that I had about this show and what I'm doing with this show and how I'm working towards trying to improve and give a better experience to you so you walk away from this show feeling energized and empowered and wanting to take these actions yourself. Um, and you also need to show to external people that you're listening and you're hearing what they're saying and hearing what the other people in your life are contributing to you and that you want to improve and you want to get better because that will drive trust like you can't believe. I mean, it's these are such rare things that are going on in the world now that you can really set yourself apart. And that's what I'm trying to build here because I think the number one issue in our world globally and our society here in the United States and in other countries is the concept of trust. I mean, we are just not thinking about that as much as we used to. I think we're very self-centered and we're very self-focused, and that tends to be a behavior or an action that just does not build trust. And so I think some of these things I'm talking about are very kind of traditional values, but in some ways they're kind of just basic human values, and they're things that all of us need to really focus on. And then the next factor here is establishing your authority and your expertise in whatever field you are, but you need to do that in a way that's respectful of others. You're not trying to brag and you're not trying to put yourself out there in a way to make another person feel like they are less than. They're less than you somehow. You're not trying to do that. And that is the goal that I have with this too. I'm a normal guy. I've been creating user-generated content on the radio and on video for many years. And I strongly believe that being real and speaking with a voice that is authentic and sounds like it's believable is so important. But in order to really share a message that people can take with a level of credibility is that you have to share some qualifications and your experience on why you are doing that and why you think it's important and why what you say actually matters. And that's sometimes, I've been through this a little bit too. I got involved in doing a radio show many years ago about the growth of the internet and the web. I was not an expert in the growth of the internet and the web back then, but I definitely grew into that role, and I became that over a period of time. And I put myself out there to learn from others and to grow that capability of being a qualified person and building experience and knowledge, because I learn from others and I listen to others. I had guests on my show, and that's what I intend to do with this show too. But the first couple of episodes, I kind of just wanted to set the stage, build the foundation for this show, and build, hopefully build a deeper relationship with you, and then also, build my confidence in being able to host a show on my own, because all the shows I've done in the past, I've usually done with a co-host. And that's the other show that I do, the new media show that I do every week as well, and I'm doing it later today. But that is so important, is to build the skills that you have, and that's what I'm trying to do here with you. And I appreciate it, and your feedback is so important in helping me provide helpful information too, because I want to learn from you and what you have experienced in your life in this trust building and authority building thing that I'm talking about right now. And because over time, you are going to have to demonstrate through your words or your actions, or being taken seriously by others, around demonstrating your knowledge and understanding whatever topic you're talking about, at a level that's credible, and that people will say, yeah, that makes sense. I think it's so important to make sense and to have a message that people resonate with. It's not always about being the most popular. But you will always connect at a deep level with some part of your audience or some part of the community that you're in with what you're talking about, and those people will rally around you. You're not going to likely appeal to everyone, because no one is perfect. No one is perfect for everyone, and that's a factor in every relationship. But there is some aspect of this, that doing media is a popularity contest too, to some degree. So walking that line. So if you're a very popular, podcaster that's got hundreds of thousands or millions of downloads, you will be taken a lot more seriously in the world if you can achieve that. If you can have a message that helps people at a deeper level, that is resonating with large numbers of people, that can be a real benefit for the large number of people and your own life as a content creator and as a person, because you're driving value to others. And that's really what I'm trying to do here with this show, is drive value to you. And I think the fifth aspect of this is make yourself available, and make private feedback channels available as well as public ones. So when you're putting it out there that you want to hear from your audience, there should be two pathways, right? There should be a pathway for the audience to give you feedback in a public way that they can benefit from, and maybe they can garner some relationships from offering that feedback to this show, because then that person is seen as a expertise, or having some level of engagement with the show that others can associate with. And a lot of the shows that I've done live in the past have generated relationships between listeners as being one factor that I always looked at as a factor that I'm really connecting with people and driving value to them, and a camaraderie that exists between people out in the community of listeners. And then over time, those people will see each other as kindreds and sharing ideas and helping each other. And that's why it's important to give feedback in the comment threads of a show like this, is because what you'll start to do is connect with other listeners. And I encourage you, if you're listening to this show, to go look for those comments and to find those people that are basically contributing thoughts and ideas about these concepts that you have a passion about too. And maybe you can connect with them on Twitter or on LinkedIn or whatever, and send a message to them and connect with them. So when you guys both come back and watch my show, you guys are coming at the show from a level of community, right? And when I speak to you, you can speak to your friend that you have made that is also a listener to this show. I mean, that is so powerful. Um, but I do need to, as a host and as a leader on this show, and that's also another factor of this too, is when you do a show like this or any show, you really need to take the bull by the horn and be a leader in your community and be a positive influence and be a contributor but be always, I mean always, listen to your audience, listen to whoever that you're communicating with. I think it's so important, even from a content creator perspective, having guests on my show. I need to listen to them. I need to be a contributor. So everyone that engages with this show or is a guest on this show or listens to this show, that's a two-way communication pathway. It's not a one-way. Now, granted, what I'm doing right now tends to be a one-way communication path. But as you'll see later in the episode, I'm going to be breaking that down. So what I'm going to say is there are pathways like email, which tend to be more private, and then there's public commenting that is public, right? So as a podcaster, you need to treat those a little differently. I think the email is a much longer opportunity to communicate thoughts, whether it be positive or negative, with the show host, share ideas, maybe give topics that you have an interest in that you'd like to see me explore, right? I think those can be very powerful connection tools. And just to share a little bit about the ability to communicate with me, if you would like to, I would like to share with you my personal email address, and that's rob.greenlee, and that's Greenlee @gmail.com. That's rob.greenlee @gmail.com. And send me, it can be a 5-paragraph email or it can be a 2-line email, whatever you want to communicate to me. What did I inspire in you to contribute to me? I think is key, and it's kind of up to me to prompt you about ideas on things that you can share. And I think that the topics that I've talked about in this episode may be great topic for you to share what your experiences have been as a content creator and what kind of feedback you've gotten. But not, like I was saying, also not all my feedback needs to be an email. That can be done on all the social media channels. I'm on all of them, so you can certainly share any kind of public feedback, and I'd be happy to share that on the podcast as well, and talk about it, because there's a lot of content that can come from you, and you can contribute that and add to my understanding, as well as me be able to add to your understanding. So this becomes a two-way street on this show. And share your trust building efforts that you have, and what have you learned from trying to do this more intentionally, right? And tell me what that experience is and how you feel about that, and kind of I can discuss it on the show, right? So I don't have to use your full name. If you don't want me to, please specify that, and I won't use it on the show. But certainly that's a possibility that if you want me to mention your company or what you do at a deeper level, I'm happy to do that as well. But I'm going to be respectful of you. I'm going to be respectful because I want to build your trust. I want to feel like you're safe when you communicate with me about whatever thing that you're thinking about and what you'd like to contribute to the show. Because in the past, I've done shows where people have contributed ideas to me, and I hadn't even thought about that idea before, because everybody has a different experience in life. But let's get into the comments and feedback in the last 5 minutes of the show here that I got from episode 1 of my first episode of this show. This is really the first video show that I've done as a solo caster before. So this has been a learning experience for me, and I've really thought hard about this. And the feedback was not always great. So hopefully this episode is a little bit better because I'm bringing a different kind of energy to it. I'm bringing a different kind of approach to what I'm doing. So I learned from my mistakes from the first episode. And the feedback was I appeared a little tired, lack of energy in episode 1, which does not build as much trust as could be built. So that's kind of the feedback that I have on that. And I think it was fair criticism. I think I was a little hesitant because I wasn't comfortable presenting in a way that I look directly at the camera. I mean, oftentimes I don't look directly at the camera, and that's kind of the next feedback that I got from others as well. Keep eye contact with the audience. Look at the camera. It's okay to look down now and then, but engage in looking at the camera. Keep your eyes up. When you look at the camera, you connect at a much deeper level. I'm seeing you, you're seeing me at this level, and to bring more fun and joy to the show. And I will do that. I'm going to work really hard at trying to be more energetic, more bring more funny things to the show, bring more joy to the show, bring more connection to others that have just a joy for life. And I'm going to bring that more because I think it's a positive influence on me too, and hopefully it's a positive influence on you. And that's what I want to build the most, is a positive experience of joy, happiness, and even some laughter. If I can pull my personality out a little bit more and not be so buttoned down, and show some humor here, I think it's going to go a long ways. And I want to thank you for all the feedback too that I've gotten on the show. It was very early. It's only the first episode. I hope to get a lot more feedback, and so I can devote a higher concentration of this show to you and to your thoughts and your feedback. And I will do that. And I also got a couple of comments on YouTube that I want to share. Rebecca shared on YouTube, as a marketer and an entrepreneur, trust is my number one asset. And I'm so stoked to up my game on trust. And that is perfect, Rebecca. I so appreciate that feedback because that's exactly how I feel as well. And then Stoner Fruit on YouTube also wrote and say, in a world of ever increasing fake outs, we're looking at you, AI. Trust is the only thing we have to cultivate a genuine connection, and can't wait to see where this show goes. Stoner Fruit, I appreciate that a lot. I mean, it's, I got good feedback and I got great feedback, and you guys are just aligning with what my goals are here, and I appreciate that so much. And keep the feedback coming, keep the thoughts coming, keep sharing what your experiences are as you move through this journey of trying to open up more. And I can be found on Twitter too, at Rob Greenlee, and also on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Rob Greenlee, and give me feedback there too. It can be public Twitter, or it can be private direct messages on Twitter as well. So those are terrific pathways. And like I said, email is a terrific way too. That tends to be a little bit more private, so you can share a little deeper, and I will be respectful of you. And not, if you share a lot of deep private stuff, just tell me that you would like to keep this private, and I'll give you private feedback too. So this is part of what I'm talking about, is building that trust. And so thank you for joining me in my episode 2 here on 100 TV. In this series, next week I'm going to come back with just another thread of conversations here on what is possible. So look for me here on 100 TV Network on Mondays at 11 a.m. to noon Eastern Daylight Time, and 9:30 a.m. to 10 Pacific Daylight Time, right here on YouTube.